Hey Virgo, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to your reading. We are doing I-ching readings over here. We are going to throw 3 of these coins. See, I got my 3 coins. We're going to throw the 3 of them 6 times. We build our I-ching hexagram from the bottom up, and it's going to be 2 trigrams that are stacked. But first, I'm going to pull a card just to give us some context for this reading. From the bottom of the deck, we have the Fool. We're just reading about the Fool this morning, reading this perspective that the Fool comes packed with all the secrets of the universe, all of the possibilities. The situation is full of possibilities. We're dreaming of them, we're seeing them. It's a new adventure. That's the essence of the Fool. The new adventure, the call to action that starts our whole story. So a new adventure is calling you, a new venture, a new possibility is calling you, and all the possibilities are present here. All the possibilities, and I want to say all the probabilities too, because the I Ching relates mostly to probabilities. It's not so much divination as it is what can you do right now for the best possible outcome, not what the outcome is going to be. But of course, that's how I read tarot too, but not everybody does that, but I think a lot of us do. Anyway, the Fool has all the possibilities. Any eventuality is here. There could be success, there could be joy, there could be love, there could be death, there will be transformation. That's one thing we know. There will be change. Things could move slowly, things could move fast. There's any possibility. And that's why the Fool is the Fool. That's why we call it the Fool, because he has no idea what he's going into. Here's my little card, did I share? He has no idea what they're going into, but they know they want this journey. They're looking at it thinking, I think I want to start something. I think I want to start some trouble here. Where is this going to go? I don't know. And the dog's like, hey, watch out. And the Fool's like, yeah, I know. This is not my first rodeo. This Fool, there's trickster energy here, there's communication, there's ideas, dreams, all the possibilities. Growth at the core of it. The whole point of the journey is growth. The whole point of any of this that we're going through, we either get what we want or we learn, so it's all good. But there's growth here. Your heart's gonna grow. I like it. And there's almost a sense of, what if that's how I feel looking at it. All right, let's throw these coins. 2 tails, actually. So that's going to be yin energy. Ooh, 3 tails. That's going to be yang, but it's going to change to yin. That's a dynamic line, so that'll give us something meaty to talk about. 2 heads. That's yang energy. 3 tails again. More yang energy, but it turns to yin as we go. 2 heads. Yang energy. 2 tails. Okay, I'm going to go calculate our hexagram. Okay, Virgo, so we got our 2 trigrams that sit on top of each other and make a hexagram. So we started off with lake and wind. Oh, first I wanted to start off, we had like yin, yang, yang, yang. Like yin, yang, 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 yin. And so there seemed to be something. The center is solid on something. There's some openings. There's an opening and there's an exit. But then the center is very solid and very known. We also have like the earth elements here the earth lines are balanced. The heaven or universe, the universal will or universe, the mysterious elements are very balanced. The practical elements are very balanced. But we start off with the human being full of volition. The human element here is all yang, full of volition and initiative. That changes to it's really interesting. It's kind of topsy-turvy because it changes to something that's more receptive, sort of there's openings in the physical realm. There's openings in sort of work, in more earthly matters are opening up. And the human is becoming more flexible, a little more balanced, going from very strident, I know, to being much more, perhaps, this and that. Rather than being just fully male or fully masculine or fully initiative is what I want to call that. There's a sense of, okay, but I'm open. Initiative, and that's all becoming balanced. So we also have, so it's lake over wind is our first hexagram, was lake over wind. And then that changes to water over mountain. So as I'm reading left to right, lake is turning to water. So something very well defined. Again, lake shows up to me as something with definitions, very clear-cut definitions. There's always a sense of lake for me of like an ego definition, not like I'm so great, but like I am defined like this. And I don't leave my confines of my definition of myself. I define myself in this way, and I only occasionally venture out of my comfort zone. So the lake to me really represents a comfort zone of definition and clarity for self, but it's moving into water. So we're moving from this very clear defined space, right? Because I had opening, solid, and then opening. So, but there's a solid space, a known entity, is becoming much more fluid and much more flexible. And then we have this whole thing, and then in the bottom hexagrams, or in the bottom trigrams, read left to right, we have wind, something incredibly dynamic, very theoretical, maybe a conversation, maybe a conversation, something with a lot of movement is really getting more solidified. So it's almost like I see the hexagrams or the trigrams as sitting like this and creating a hexagram. We have something very defined, opening up to something a little more fluid, a little less defined, a little stretching out of the comfort zone. We have the water leaving the lake by it's going down the stream, it's leaving, it's moving on to another cycle. It's being its water. It's moving from this solid known space into a more, it's moving on with the cycle, the life cycle of water, right? So that's what I'm seeing. It's being more of its essence and less of its definition. And then in the bottom, we have wind, and it's moving towards something much more solid. So parts of this are moving towards more essential, more of the essence, and moving on with an overall transformative cycle. And the other is like more identifying with a cycle rather than identifying with a moment in the cycle. And then we have the wind coming into something more solid. So our first hexagram, before the lines change, is number 28. It's great excess. That's not very important. It's just the name. So the literal translation here was, withered willow sprouts leaves, the old man gets a young wife, and everything goes well. So there's like again, we have this like solid form, this mix of young and old, this mix of, I would say like the old man is something very solid, very well-defined. Most of his life has been lived. Most of the story is told here. But now there's an alliance with a younger woman. So it's just opposites all around. And then that's what I'm seeing here too, is combinations of opposites. So we have these opposites all around, this old man and this young woman. These opposites have attracted to each other. So unlikely alliance has borne some fruit, and rejuvenation of the spirit is likely to follow. This is going to be, the old man is going to feel young, and the young woman is going to have access to a lifetime of wisdom and experience. So however you feel in modern times about these dynamics of these sort of unequal dynamics, it is more talking about the attraction of opposites. And this does have like this unlikely union, unlikely combination, right? We have the Fool card starting off on something. Are you the young woman here? but there is just some sort of, I mean, there's just so much like masculine, feminine, and of course the I-ching is very binary, just being coins in that nature. So then our next change, so that was changing line number 2. Our next changing line was number 4, tall columns, good omens, but beware of snakes. So this would be, there's some good structure. You have a good support structure. I also saw something sort of collegiate or legal or any one of those buildings with some big columns on the front, trying to tap into the historic nature of the institution. A historic institution, I want to say full of self-importance. I mean, that is really trying to announce through architecture, through structure, how important, and trying to do, what do you call that when they, like, no matter what the material is, if you overprice it, it's like perceived value, perceived history, perceived value. They're trying to really announce their value with these historic columns. That's what I was seeing, was some sort of institution of some sort. So good omens, but beware of snakes. So this is a great place. This is a great institution. This is really good. There might be some sort of talk that ends up in a contract that sort of expands your sense of who you are and what you're capable of doing. So there may be ulterior motives or hidden dangers though. So the situation is very promising, right? And we're talking about probability. So the situation seems promising, but read the fine print is what we're seeing here. And I was wondering, I was asking as I was sort of working on this, like, is the snake, it reminds me of like when I found a snake in my house, and the snake was just as terrified as I was. Actually, I couldn't stop screaming, and I didn't know why. Like logically, my brain was like, this is like a little garter snake. Like, this is not a big deal. And it was a long time ago. Anyway, my daughter took some videos of me. I was like, I can't stop screaming. I don't know why. I know I'm not in danger, but there's something about a snake being actually in my house that is triggering some very deep fears or something in me that's making me and so my screams terrified the snake. Anyway, so that's more the picture I was getting, rather than like a vicious, intentionally difficult snake. Just something that might freak you out a little bit, but it's not a big deal. And the snake isn't trying to be sneaky. It's just like, ooh, there's some fine print here that maybe surprises you. I feel like it's manageable. And it's not toxic, as in it's not trying to harm you. It might be a poisonous snake. It might be, you know, a poison pill in a contract or something like that. It might be something like that, but it's not trying to be something like that. It's not thinking, I'm going to sneakily sit in here and surprise you or bite you. I really want to bite someone today, so I'm going to hide out here until they find me. So it's not, I don't feel anything sinister or intentionally toxic about what this is, but there might have been a surprise in something, in an endeavor that you did that was, everything else was fine, and then it was a surprise, and it wasn't like a surprise party, it was a planned surprise. So that's what I'm getting from the snake, is the snake is non-intentionally surprising, and maybe even has no idea how dangerous it is for you. So what we're changing to is 39, admonishment. And then the literal translation is, the southwest bodes well, the northeast bodes ill, auspicious to meet the great personage, good omen. So overall for the hexagram, that hexagram where we're going, and this is the advice of something for you to follow here, is that one direction that you might have a choice. This might be sort of a little bit of the Lover's card, where you have a choice, you have an option. One option is actually going to be a lot better for you. This is like trying to pick life insurance options. Like, there's one type of life insurance that's good for where you're at in life and your health, and there's another type of life insurance that's good for where you're at, where a different stage of life and a different set of health things. So it's like one of these is really good, and one of these is not what you need right now, you know, or retirement accounts, or what else? I mean, all these sort of Virgo-esque things are coming to mind here. jobs or agreements or pay scales, or sometimes in one of the businesses I work in, you have to decide, or you're getting options for how do you want to be paid. Do you want to be paid percentage if this exceeds, or do you want to be paid a flat rate? And no matter how great it becomes, whether it wins awards and becomes a favorite film, do you want to be paid like just a flat rate now? Do you need money right now, or how much faith do you have in this project? So the situation is promising, read the fine print, but there are two directions you can go with this. One's good, and one's going to be a lot better for you than the other one, and it's saying get an expert opinion. So that's why I'm feeling like it might be something a little more complicated, like getting a lawyer's advice. So it's get someone's advice. But don't shoot the messenger is also very clear in this. Like getting advice, an outside source, maybe it's a therapist, maybe it's a life coach, but you definitely want to vet the advice giver. You don't want to get advice from someone I know was married like 5 times, and she was like, you should totally come to me for advice on how to plan a wedding. You should never come to me for advice on how to maintain a marriage. So, or pick a spouse, or whatever, whatever the problem was there, or probably I would imagine you would have tried maybe getting the person right, but then realizing you don't have the skills, or not having anyway. So just check your source. Like, don't just ask your friend who's no more an expert on anything than you are for advice, right? So getting an expert advice. So I would see almost like a 3 of Pentacles here, a consultation, seeking advice from a respected source. Also, and prepare yourself to hear the truth. Maybe, this one contract sounds really good, but someone else is like, no, I wouldn't bet on this film taking off, so I'd just take the flat rate right now. Like the person you're working with is a known, nose diver, so don't worry about it, So that's what this is talking about. Is admonishment is basically being able to listen to advice, and really, I think also understanding that some advice is going to be better than other advice. And so getting some advice is basically how you're setting off on a new adventure. There might be a new contract in front of you. Consult a lawyer, get some advice on how to go about this, on what's going to work for you, and then be willing to hear the advice. You don't have to commit right now today to following that advice, whatever professional gives you, but it is saying be open to the advice. And if you don't like the advice, don't get mad at the person. Oh yeah, don't ask for advice and then get mad at the person giving it. Oof, I have seen that before and experienced that before, and I hate it. We'll never give you advice again. I'll just look at you. You want advice on what color to paint your living room, huh? Last time you got mad at me for what color I said, so go talk to an interior designer. You don't pay me enough as your friend to have to put up with your response to my advice. So that's a little bit of the vibe I'm getting here, is if you're going to ask for advice, at least politely listen to it. All right, believe in the impossible, blue moon here. Okay, this is giving you a lot of hope for this situation. This fool definitely believes in the impossible. What's foremost in this fool's mind is all of the wonderful possibilities. This dog's here, probably this advisor you might be hiring here. This dog's here barking. There might be some problems here. There might be some problems. Watch your step. Watch where you're going. There might be some problems here, but your mind is full of an infinite array of wonderful possibilities of what could be here, of what could happen. You do need to listen to this dog that is providing some warning here. I feel like this is your advisor that you're going to pick and select that's got a few words of warning. And you know what? They may find something in this contract or whatever. They may find the snake, right? So this would be like if you're going to buy a house, definitely get an inspection, even if you're paying with cash and nobody gives a crap if you get an inspection. And then when the inspector says, hey, this is kind of crappy, listen to them and take that advice. I see and believe in the impossible. I mean, you're meant to believe in the impossible. That's what's going to give you the motivation to take a pretty big leap of faith here, is believing in the impossible, believing that this can happen. That's going to give you your oomph to get up off the couch and go do something and get excited. This isn't to say don't listen to the dog barking at your heels telling you there might be a little bit of a problem, but I think like whatever the inspector finds, whatever this sort of expert, this could even be like couples counseling before you get married or something like that. Like, and all you're thinking is how great getting married is going to be. And this is to say, hey, do some couples counseling. And if the counselor finds something or notes something where there's a serious incompatibility, one of you wants kids, one of you doesn't, and listen to their advice, at least take it under advisement, because you do need to, like, yeah. Anyway, what lights you up? Leo got this too. There's some kind of crazy Virgo-Leo connection going on here. One of my Virgos or one of my Leos has a lot of Virgo or Leo in their chart or something. So that's what I get from doing these readings. And so I now like to do Virgo and Leo readings together because there's some cool connection going on here. So what lights you up? So believe in the impossible. What lights you up? That's what this Fool is hearing, is the call to action. What lights me up? Yeah, let's go. What's giving you this let's go energy? Where are you getting it? What are your dreams? What is your vision for the future? Where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself in 10,000 light years is sort of like what I'm getting that. And not where do you see yourself, but where would you love to see yourself in 10,000 light years? What makes you excited to get up the next day imagining like I'm working towards this bigger goal here? Unbound, releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. So any prior commitments, you're being released of those. Any contract, this would be breaking a contract. We have you making a contract. This could be breaking a contract. This could also be like finding out about some fine print in a contract that you've already signed. And maybe there's something about not having made a commitment to do something and not having to follow through. You can break off, I mean, nothing this severe, but you can break off if you find the snake, you can walk away from the house offer. You can break the engagement. You can do a lot of different things. And I think just knowing that you have that freedom and that you're entitled to that freedom is going to be really helpful, especially when in any kind of negotiation, or if you find like some fine print in a contract or something like that, knowing that you're not already obligated, and you're certainly not obligated for lifetimes to stay anywhere that's harmful to your soul, or that you're very clearly being called away from. Like you're very clearly being called on a new adventure here. So you can release yourself from some past obligations, and possibly even literally a contract. Priestess, how are you being called to step up and lead? I think so there could be some leadership here that you are providing. Initiative. We were talking about initiative, a lot of initiative. The human element here starts off with a lot of initiative. Gets a little tempered. So it's almost like go, go, go. And then there's like okay, actually let's think about this for a second. Like, because you're the Fool card, you're not the Magician card. The Magician card is making preparations. The Fool card just has the gust of ghana, so a gust of energy to get going, right? So you are being called to step up and lead. You are being called to take initiative. You do need to take initiative in something, especially if you're showing up as the Fool card. In any new venture, any new project, anything new, you need to take the initiative. You have the right, you have the connections, I want to say you have the patience and the strength as well. You have the energy. You have the internal combustion engine. You are the goer in this project. So taking initiative on something, possibly taking leadership on something. It's almost like I see it, I want it, and then you move towards it. You're doing all of that. There's nothing here. There's not in these. The only breaks on this should be like getting a professional consultation. Expect powerful change, new moon eclipse. So again, we have expectations here. Expectation is that what you never thought could happen might happen, and expecting it to happen, expecting powerful change. And even if it is like some sort of fine print in the contract, I think you can change the contract is what I'm getting. I don't think you have to accept like the poison pill in the contract or whatever they call that. Like in any kind of agreement that you've made or promise that you've made, if there is a surprising element to it, I don't think that that's so like toxic and vicious that it can't be renegotiated and re-understood. Age of Light, you've been training for this for lifetimes. So you know what you're doing, even if you've never done it before. You have a sense of what you're doing, and you've been preparing for this. This could be very well. You sound very well prepared for this. You do need to get some outside advice though, but you sound overall very well prepared. Okay, let's see here. Let's get one of these puppies. Oh, we're getting 2 of these puppies. Ooh, damn. Okay, we have White Raven Spirit, Trust in the Magic. I wonder how close that is to Blue Moon, White Raven, Blue Moon, very unusual thing. Trust in the magic, believe in the impossible. And again, we have expectation, trust, and belief. So hoping for the best. Just because hoping, yeah, believe that something's possible. I mean, what more is there to say here? Trust in the magic. Trust in something very unusual, very, I think, an unexpected turnaround in something. But that's what we were seeing, right? This like something becoming much more specific while something's becoming much more true to its essence and overall journey. Leaving a stage to re-enter the cycle, right? And the lake is a little bit stagnant too. There's a definition of a lake. It's a little bit stagnant. So leaving the lake for more of the cycle. I want to say leaving the lake for the ocean and making this transition to the ocean, because we also have Flamingo Spirit, embrace the in-between. So you see an opportunity, you haven't signed on the dotted line yet. And there's just going to be a process here and a figuring of things out. But you're meant to continue on. Nothing about this is stop, quit, don't proceed. You're in the Fool energy, you're in initiative energy. And you have to believe that it's possible. You're starting some sort of project or something, and you need to have that oomph and that conviction. Start this with conviction. There might be some problems that show up, but they're all manageable. So you're starting, but you're not finishing something at this point. So embracing the in-between. You're leaving the lake and you're becoming water, but you're not yet at the next, like, you're not at the ocean. You're not definable yet. There's a process going on here. And you're being asked repeatedly to have a lot of faith and a pretty big vision, unlikely vision. Time to collaborate, Ant Spirit. Absolutely. Time to collaborate. You need to get that expert advice. You need to work with someone else on something. Get some other eyes on that. Have someone else check over. Be careful who it is. Yeah, and then let's talk about synchronicities. I've been thinking about chiromancy and the nature of synchronicities and how they speak to us and how they can be little triggers to remind us of something. Or, oh dear, that's too many. Triggers to remind us of something. And synchronicities to look for. I find them comforting. Like, it's just like you're right where you need to be. Bluebird Spirit, happiness. So we also have a unicorn here. We have a bluebird. We have some blossoms, depending on what hemisphere you're in. You might be seeing some of those. But Bluebird Spirit, happiness. And then we have Frog Spirit. I like Frog Spirit. It says renewal, but I always think jumps forward. Renewal. The frog is also a symbol of transformation. We also have these lotus flowers here, no mud, no lotus. So transforming from some helpless stage to some more self-protective stage. So we have a fairy. So if you see any fairies, this can be a reminder of that. We have a frog. The frog has a crown. We have some lotus flowers here, and frog spirits in this lake. The lake where we start, and then we're leaping out of that lake, right? It's like you're leaving a tadpole stage for a frog stage. right? The frog has a whole life cycle, much like this water. And we have this stagnant water, this still water, but I see a leap out of that. So a pond, a lake. So those are some synchronicities to keep an eye out for. So hope this was helpful. Okay, so on Vimeo, I'm going to do a more traditional tarot spread. The Fool card is also going to be our overall for that reading, and then we'll continue on from there. I'll be tying it all in together. So maybe I'll see you there. Maybe I'll see you in a while, crocodile.